right, good afternoon, everyone. So let us just get a little bit of housekeeping out of the way before we start. We've got a lot of stuff lined up today, and we're going to actually do an hour-long episode. Excuse me. To make up for the fact we didn't actually do one last week, and
Yes.
a story to that.
You know,
Stuff
camping
happened.
camping trips be like, hey, family, get together, birthday, come on. Be social, even though there's a worldwide inclusion of don't do anything outside. Be outside, but with singular family, and that's it.
Stuff happened, yeah, as our wonderful co-host Justin just pointed out.
Yes.
And we were unable to do a video last week. We actually had something lined up to announce that we didn't have a video last week, but it, for whatever reason, didn't go
YouTube
up.
was an asshole, and apparently,
I don't
when
put stuff up there. Those
uploading,
are
did not upload. So
hey, hey, hey. This is a family show.
what family show? I thought we were doing 13 plus.
Tell that to the YouTube algorithm.
Yeah, well, the YouTube algorithm doesn't know the difference between 13, 18, and 5 years old, so.
What it doesn't know won't hurt it. But so yeah, we're doing it now. We're gonna have a long episode cooked up for this one. We've got a lot of stuff we're gonna be covering. We're going to be covering the new Steam Deck, which is quite an interesting turn of events. Did not think that would ever happen, ever. But then again, what of Steam is ever expected? We're going to be covering stuff involving Warframe and the new war. Hashtag new war.
Yep.
We might put that in the thing just to get ourselves brought up in the search engine under that. And we're also going to be covering a few other small things. Oh, yes, as well as a bunch of Destiny stuff and a potential Halo crossover, which I kind of hope happens, kind of don't hope happens. It's conflicting theory.
I mean, it's Bungie, one can hope, but you never know.
One can hope. It's Microsoft too, and they play nice these days now that I was about to say Luke Smith. Now that Phil Spencer is in charge, so one can hope.
We'll see.
As well as a bunch of small stuff we may or may not bring up throughout the show. We'll see how it pans out, but we'll see. So I'm your should have probably started out with this, but I'm one of your hosts, Nick. This is
Justin.
Indeed he is.
Welcome to the midweek report.
And let us begin. So, let us begin with, as I said, the Steam Deck. Who the heck saw this one coming, right? I mean, yikes. Steam just went and dropped a bombshell on the entire industry with basically announcing they're doing the better Switch.
They kind of just threw it down and looked at Nintendo like, yeah, that's right. I can do that. I'm the cool kid here. This is what happens when PC goes and mixes into console. What are you going to do about it?
It happened. They went into their R&D labs and they went, make us the better Switch, and they just dissected a Switch on the table and they said, look at these entrails. We can do this too.
It's not that hard. Come on, watch me go.
Watch me go. And it even happened. The clouds parted. The sky opened up, and from it, Gabe Newell came down from on high with his beard.
Gabe Newell said after 0 years in development.
After 0 years in development. Let us all just give thanks to the holy Gabe Newell. Hallelujah.
May your games be plentiful of crits and zero critted.
May your games be plentiful of crits, and may your sales always be many.
But, you know, the Steam Deck seems interesting, and it seems like it's going to be quite a hassle when it comes to their other plan of porting Steam itself onto other platforms. So it might be a bridging gap for them to go and start that process of theirs.
It is. It might be an idea for them to start putting Steam on other platforms. It certainly is a kind of idea for them to put Steam in the hands of people who aren't PC gamers specifically.
Yeah. Because, I mean, being able to play a lot of Steam games on something like Xbox or PlayStation will be very nice for some people.
I mean, we do know that that Xbox, for example, is working on their whole xCloud project, which is basically, putting Xbox games on things like the phone and other consoles.
Yeah.
So you can play your Xbox stuff on the go. I would like to say PlayStation is doing something similar, but PlayStation is not that friendly when it comes to other people, so one can only hope.
One can hope.
Another 20, 30 years, we'll see. But the specs for this thing are actually quite interesting before we go into the whole pricing and everything, because that's all of the ball of wax. They've already kind of beaten out Nintendo just in their base model specs. Now, for those who don't know, there are 3 models of the Steam Deck currently available for sale. And I say available for sale because good luck actually getting one.
Yep.
Apparently, it was sold out within like 10 minutes.
Oh,
All 3 across the board.
Oh, that's better than PlayStation. PlayStation didn't the PlayStation get like sold out in literal seconds?
Yeah, pretty much, which means they're already doing better than 90% of the competition. Good for them. That helps when you actually have stuff set up for anti-piracy and don't just be like, hey, go nuts.
You're at least trying. They're at least trying. Because I mean, it is very difficult. It's not too hard to set up some bots and stuff, you know.
It's unlike Xbox and Sony, who are just like, here, go nuts.
It exists.
It exists. Buy our shit. Please, give us money. Now, for those who don't know, the 3 versions of this are the base model, which has 64 gigabytes on an eMMC. So basically, your standard hard drive.
Is it a solid state or hard drive?
Excuse me, keep having phlegm here. Never have milk before a stream ever again. It looks like a standard hard drive. Here, just let me look up eMMC real quick. I feel like I should never have to do this. I literally went to frickin' college to learn about computers, and yet I have to look up hard drives.
Here we are.
Here we are. Great use of money for education. Right, ladies and gentlemen?
Yes.
We got time. I can look this up, right?
Well, I mean, that's if you can find it.
Yeah, if I can find it. I've been told it's basically a base hard drive. Ah, here we go. So basically what the eMMC stands for, ladies and gentlemen, is Embedded Multimedia Card. And so, according to this little definition I found, oops, if this works. Here we go. They are it's a lot in common to a solid state drive. It just, according to this one, it includes the NAND flash memory. However, SSDs, your base SSDs, also apparently, according to these, like Windows Central article, the SSDs themselves always deliver superior performance and are always far larger for bulk storage. So basically, these eMMCs, or these multimedia cards, are basically the poor man's SSD, to put it lightly.
I mean, as long as it's capable of handling like a lot of movement, because that's the big thing when it comes to like something like a DS, the Switch, and now the Steam Deck is the fact that you have to design it around constant use while it's being mobile.
Mm-hmm.
Because like if the hard drive can't handle it, then well, yeah, that's not so good.
Yeah. Well, in fact, it's probably actually a better idea to have one of these in a game console. That's, you know, one of these kind of like portable things instead of your regular hard drive, because as anyone who knows computers can tell you, and this is where I can actually use that educational money to tell you that getting my investment's worth, that regular hard drives are actually much more susceptible to breakage because of, you know, shaking, falling, etc.
Yeah.
Than your standard,
well,
solid
state.
I mean,
take the DS for example. How many times when you were a kid did you drop your DS? Probably at least once. Like at the very least
I take
once.
good care of my things.
Yeah, but
okay,
still, I mean, there's the odd chance there's once. Like
yeah,
like that one drop would be more than enough to completely destroy your hard drive on that thing.
Yeah, if it landed on a bad angle, there's a chance that the actual hard drive could have been damaged and the disks inside the hard drive could have been dislodged, and that renders the entire thing useless. So yeah. So it is better to have these kind of solid state models in portable devices, because I can tell you for a fact, working on not only as a coder but also a guy who works with hardware, computer parts are... Excuse me, my phone is on in the background. Let me just turn that off real quick so we're not disturbed.
Computer parts are not easy to work with, and you have to design everything around it.
Yes, but that wasn't what I was going at. I was gonna say the computer parts are actually much more hardy than they look.
They can take a hit. It's just
Trust
it
me.
also can't take a hit depending on what angle you're hitting it from. Like
Yeah.
a hard disk
I
is
wouldn't
very
recommend throwing
likely
them
to
down a flight
break
of
if you're
stairs.
not careful.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend drop kicking your hard drive down a flight of stairs, but you know.
You never know. There are some people who might do such a thing.
No, let's not criticize the audience.
I very much doubt that they're the type of people who are watching us.
You never know. Anyways, going back to the Steam Deck. So that's your base model. You got your 64-bit eMMC, your embedded multimedia card. Ooh, fancy words. um, you got your second version, which is a 256 gigabytes, which is way better than any of the shit on the portable market right now. Which is your EVMe solid state drive. So it's an actual version of the solid state drive, very good version of the solid state drive, I should say, for a good chunk of memory. Now, there's also one above that, the third and final version, which is 512 gigabytes. And again, same type of solid state, but the memory is much bigger. So you're already getting a good chunk of bang for your buck. And for your, just on a side note, this version of the console, oh well, should I say console? It's more like a miniaturized PC. It's like a Franken PC.
Yeah. It's a mix between like.
It's got Linux, so
yeah.
say that as well. Anyways, this version also comes with premium anti-glare etched glass. So basically, it's a special type of glass that they make in the actual, it's a special type of custom glass that is designed to not have glare or have very reduced glare, which is good for if you've ever had a screen ever, you know that glare is a major issue, especially if you're in the more sunny areas of the world.
Yes, especially if you're someone who likes to play outside and
Too.
have fresh air.
But who needs that nowadays,
Nah,
right?
just stay inside, have your special little bucket, everything, and you're good to go. You can become the master of your video game.
Now, it is worth mentioning that the prices here kind of jack up pretty quickly. The first base model that we talked about, the 64 gig, has $499. Again, this is Canadian pricing I'm giving you here because we live in Canada.
Yep.
It's probably cheaper in the States. Actually, let me scratch that. It is definitely cheaper in the States.
Well, it's cheaper in the States, but I mean, that's kind of the difference between currencies type of thing. So, I mean, no matter what, if we converted that money into the US, it would be the same. So.
Please don't make me sad that I live in Canada nowadays because I don't
Yeah, but
want
I
my
mean, at the
wallet
end of the
aching more
day,
than it
it's
needs
not
to.
cheaper or more expensive. It's just a matter of, inflation and whatnot.
Yeah, semantics. Anyways, can you tell I'm getting angry? Anyways, the second model of this one, the 256 gigabyte version that we mentioned, is a 659 Canadian dollars. So you've already seen an increase. I sound like Porky Pig, increase of $100 right there, just flat. Well, not 100, more than 100, but you get the point. And the third version is $819. So you're already starting to see the price hike getting pretty extreme here.
Yeah, by that point, you might as well get a laptop.
It is an interesting buy. It is worth looking into. But again,
It's a niche. It's a niche. I mean, it
niche.
does go and
hope it
fill in
catches
with
on.
the Switch niche. So I mean, it does give people who like the Switch and all that more opportunity to play like different types of games that they wouldn't have access to before.
Yeah. I think this is a pretty interesting idea. I hope it catches on. The design is actually fairly interesting. I would recommend you guys check this out for yourself. The design is quite interesting. It's not I want to say that it is a PC stuffed into the Switch into the body of a Switch. But
feel
it really
I feel
isn't.
like it's reminiscent to the old
It's reminiscent.
PlayStation portable thing.
I wouldn't even
Sony.
go there because I've played with those back in the day. Fun
Yeah,
fact.
like I don't think
Don't
it's
say I'm
it's a
old.
direct copy, but I think it has subtle hints of that and subtle hints of the Switch. I feel like Valve probably went and took a few notes and was like, yes.
It more looks like the Switch than anything else, if you
Well,
ask
yeah,
me.
no, obviously it would look more reminiscent of the Switch.
But in fact, they even put touchpads in the thing actually to reminisce about the whole anyone who's played with the Steam controllers, which I'm actually kind of sad I didn't get back in the day because I would have wanted a controller for the computer that isn't a custom built thing. But anyways, they actually have those in there as well. The touchpads I actually used for the sick. I can't remember what they called them. Basically they didn't actually have joysticks in the actual controller. They had basically sensors, which is a really interesting idea. Again, they put those in this thing to kind of use that technology again. Apparently, from everyone who's used the controller that I know, has says that those were actually very effective, surprisingly. Well, for me at least.
Nah, controller is nice.
So it's good to see that they're taking that technology and putting it in their next generation of kind of answer to a problem that they themselves kind of are answering, I guess. So it is an idea.
Yeah, and I mean it's better than creating the problem and then being like, hey, we solved it, guys.
But I mean, hey, let's not give any more ideas to Activision or EA. That's on another episode. So if you're curious about the specs, ladies and gentlemen, this thing's got an AMD processor, so a pretty interesting piece, and it's an AMD processor. Its CPU is Zen 2 with 4C18, 2.4 to 3.5 gigahertz, and up to 448 flops of power, which is already pretty interesting considering that's more than you actually see in the base PS4. But not as much as the PS4 Pro, but still. The fact that they were able to put more processing power in this thing than an actual last-gen console is in itself impressive.
Yep.
As far as the CPU is concerned, anyway. Well, no, the GPU as well. I'm not too sure about the CPU. I know it's the GPU is better than this. And I mean, it's a gaming console, so let's be honest, anyone cares about the GPU. And who cares about the CPU? As long as it runs in that case, we're fine.
Gets everything done.
And again, in the case of RAM, 16 gigabytes of RAM, which is enough to get the job done.
That is, yeah, that's a very modest amount because a lot of games at the very minimum can run maybe 8. So that's a nice amount to be able to do your gaming.
Again, this thing has the gyro technology that they put in their old controllers. Good to see that they put those back in, or the old trackpads anyway. They have HD haptics in here, which I'm told was also something they had in the previous gen controllers, where you can almost kind of feel it when you were tracking your thing across the sensor pad. Again, I cannot speak. I'm only speaking from what I vaguely remember from people who had the controllers are telling me, because I never had one. I wish I did, but I didn't. So they're saying that's probably what that means, but I would recommend you look into that more.
Yep, worth a little bit of a check into.
This is for those who are curious about the display now. We're going into the display. Sound like that is a repetition of myself. Stop it. We have a 1280 by 800 per pixel ratio, which is pretty impressive. It's a bit bigger than the Switch in terms of the screen, like overall console size. A bit bigger than the Switch. But it's a little more wide than it is large.
So a bit of a more wider screen than what you might be used to.
Or it's not wide. I mean, it's a bit more long screen than wide. And I've even been told that some people wish that it took up more space horizontally than vertically. Provided I'm not mixing those up. Sound like an idiot. But anyways, so the screen is pretty long. So it is interesting. Oh, and for those who are questioning the kind of frame rate this thing works at, I'm told it runs at 720p. So, same thing as the Switch. Which isn't bad. I mean, again, this is a small body they're fitting everything into. 720p is kind of the base we can expect, and that's probably the best you can have it run at without cooking the CPU. I mean... Anything else with how much they're cramming into this little thing would probably cook the entire computer from the inside out. So, not bad.
Not 100%, but for something small like that, it's pretty good.
Yeah, for most games you'll probably be running on this thing. It'll probably be fine. as long as you're not playing Warframe, Destiny, or any other AAA game on there for long periods of time, you
Yeah,
should be fine.
yeah, very short bursts. Don't play for too long, otherwise you will easily break and brick it.
Well, I wouldn't say brick it.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a chance you could break it if you overheat it too much.
Well, there's a chance you could do that.
By that point, you're probably smoldering your entire house and all that. But you know, the chance is there.
Anyway, this thing also has touch enabled. Again, going back to the touchpad and stuff like that, which is good. Your standard Bluetooth. Bluetooth. Today is not my best day. Your standard Bluetooth connection, Bluetooth 5.0, most recent version of it, if I remember correctly. Wi-Fi, again, Wi-Fi connection. And going to the battery life. Now, here's the funny one. This thing has 2 to 8 hours of battery life, depending. Again, 8 hours isn't that bad, provided you're playing, a less intensive game. Again, if you're playing a AAA game, my recommendation is don't play it for too long, maybe about an hour at a time, unless you want your thing to die on you within, 2 hours.
Yeah, if you don't want it to have a bad time, you could still play it.
I wouldn't say a bad time. Just make sure you're not playing it for too long, because otherwise you probably will only have 2 hours out of this thing.
Yeah, you'd have to plug it in a lot, and that will not be fun. Because at that point, you might as well just go with the desktop.
Anyways. Apparently, in the expansion category, we do have a micro SD.
No.
So it's good if you want extra memory, you can slot that in.
Yep. And that might help for people who like to trade games with their friends and stuff. That way you can play certain games, or if you have a certain game that you want to have on the SD, then you can go and have that there, whilst other games fill in other spots. You can.
That is an interesting idea. I was probably going to dispute your idea about if you want more memory, because to 512 gigabytes
it's not
memory,
a whole lot.
That's more than I have in my freaking PS5, man.
Yeah, no, it's not a whole lot of memory, but I mean, if you want to go and have certain games on it, you can do that.
Yeah,
it goes and helps you fill in that area.
Though I suspect you won't need it, because like I said, if you buy the best model that is on the market, you probably won't need it. Yeah. Better than the shit I've got on my PS5 if memory serves, so you're fine. And the operating system, for those who are curious, is the new version of the Steam OS they've cooked up, which is 3.0, which again is a Linux-based, if you're curious. My sources tell me that they've also made that an open source as well, so that it can kind of get on the market more, which is an interesting idea.
Yep. You can someone's gonna go and start pulling up at that thing and starting to mess around with it, so that's for sure.
Indeed. I've actually heard a little bit of curiosity on the market if this thing connects to the TV, and kind of like what the Switch does, and if you can do that, that allows for what the Switch does, which is overclocking. Now, for those who are unaware, when you plug your Switch into your kind of docking port and hook it up to the TV, it does overclock the system. And because of this, it can run slightly better on the TV than it can on the Switch itself. So people are wondering if the Steam Deck is going to do something similar, but we'll have to see.
We will. I mean, if it does, then it's clear what Valve's intentions are for it.
Well, they're trying to compete with Switch. That much is obvious, though I don't know exactly in what... not exactly in the same market as them.
No.
They're trying to kind of make their own market while at the same time competing with Switch, kind of having your cake and eating it too. But anyways, so for those who are curious, even the base model of this thing, the 64 gigabytes, is already double of what the base Switch has these days. I find it quite interesting though, because while the Switch itself uses an NVIDIA, this thing uses an AMD. Let me just make sure I'm not saying that wrong.
Everything is correct.
AMD. So they're basically using competing CPU. They're basically using competing company ones. So that's quite interesting. Again, this could be their attempt to compete as well. A little bit of competition, maybe. Oh my goodness, it's already 12:30.
Yes.
But yeah, that's an idea.
We'll see. We'll see where Steam goes with it.
We'll see how this plays out. Again, if you're looking to get one, good luck to you, because
it will not be anytime soon. That is for sure.
Apparently, this thing is already showing up on eBay for 3 times the market value. So good luck to you, like I said. We'll leave that at that. So next on our docket of things we're planning to talk about, provided we have enough time. Oh my goodness.
We do.
It, let's see how fast we get through everything else. Is the new stuff involving Warframe. Now, for those who are not Warframe fans like I am, it has been, for a very long time now, Warframe has been exclusive to whatever platform you're playing on, like most games. Which nowadays doesn't really jive with the whole fact that everything is now, everyone has like multiple accounts of one game on like multiple different things and stuff like that, and MMOs, probably better for them to have, cross-gen accounts. Or cross-platform accounts, which again they did not have up until recently, where they announced at the last TennoCon, which was only just recently. I think it was this weekend. That they were going to start in that a cross-gen version, a cross-save and cross-play is in development. So for those Warframe fans out there like myself, you will now be able to play with your friends on other devices if you have friends. Well, I'm hoping you have friends. You're not like
Let's
me.
hope.
But so if you're hoping to play with your friends, and even if you're not, if you have, for example, like me, you have an account on one platform, but you wanted to play on another platform because maybe it's just more convenient for you, but everything you have is on another platform, because anyone who plays Warframe can tell you it's a major time investment. It's probably one of the more time-invested MMOs I've played, especially with how deep some of the systems can be. I have not spent as much time fishing and gathering reputation as I have in any other game in that game. Especially how intensive some things are, and you want to play on another platform. Now you can just go to another platform, download the game, and just transfer your stuff back and forth like what Destiny does, which is really nice. But
Yep.
again, that is in development, so we don't have a clear date of when that is. They have revealed that it is going to be worked on. We just don't know when we'll get it. But again, it's better than nothing. They've said they've wanted to do this for a while.
Yeah, they have a means of like cross playing and stuff. That way you can go and play on your different devices if you want to. And if you are someone who has like multiple accounts and does that kind of thing, it does make it easier for you to do to go about doing your thing.
That is true. I won't even
your
lie.
Chaotic life that must be full of pain because you have so many accounts.
Or if you're a certain desk jockey, it would be, if the boss isn't looking, just kind of play a little Warframe, then close it down.
Oh yeah, I'm working. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing.
I'm
Oh
working,
yeah, those
boss.
documents are done. Don't worry.
I got that thing on my. Don't worry, boss. I'll get that on your desk by Tuesday. Let me just get the boss real quick.
My loot.
My loot. But again, like I myself would have probably played a lot more. Well, I've sunk hundreds of hours into Warframe just on my PS5 and my PS system, because that's where my stuff is all set up. But because of how, anyone who's played Warframe can tell you it's very hard to get some of the Warframes in that game. So I've never wanted to play it on my laptop, where I tend to do most of my work, which is probably better in the long run because that's where I do my work. But anyway. Anyways, semantics. I would have played a lot more of that game again, but I don't have the option to do that on my laptop without resetting everything and doing it all again, which, again, so much time investment. I really don't want to put that in. Now it's a good thing because now I can just download the thing and just hop right in again, which is really good if I'm chilling out between sessions of Destiny, which we'll get into later, actually, later in the show. But I'm getting a little sidetracked here. At this very conference as well, at this TennoCon, they also revealed during the cross-save thing that they were talking about, they also have something else that was in development. And for those who don't know what this is, they've also apparently got a... Holy crud, my PC is frying itself. Sorry, I just looked up my specs because my fan was blowing at insane speeds.
You blowing your CPU overclocking it or something?
And not even, but let me just put on my overboost just to make sure my CPU doesn't fry.
It's plugged in and all that, right?
Yeah, it is. Forgive me, ladies and gentlemen, if you start hearing a little bit more fan in the background. I'm going to lean back a little bit more so you don't hear it as much, but this is just for the safety of my laptop, which I do a lot of my work and streams on, so Forgive me if that background noise starts affecting my, you start hearing that in the background, just know that that's the fan. Anyways, where was I? Ah, yes. At the same convention, they also revealed that, they would also be releasing a mobile version of Warframe. Not a mobile game in the Warframe universe, a mobile version of the game of Warframe to be playable on the phone. And here's the kicker, this will also be apparently part of this whole cross-save, cross-play ecosystem. So now, if you want to go from your console to your phone to your PC, y'all can do that.
It is possible.
It is apparently possible. They showed off them doing it at the at the dev stream. They showed off one of their dev builds of one of the devs on their phone getting into one of the dev builds of someone on their console doing it. So it is clearly possible. I'm not too sure how workable it is, but it certainly is a possibility. And this isn't the first time we've actually seen this kind of technology. I think last year with Genshin Impact. Another good game, for example. I would recommend you check out that game. Not sponsored at all. Just me kind of killing unintentionally for a good game. But they also have a mobile version of the game that you can play on your phone, as well as the version available on both console and PC. Now, to play my own devil's advocate, the game is a little bit more simplistic in its art style. There is no massive physics simulations they're running in that game. And the world is a little bit more barren, so there's a lot less for the system to have to process at any one time. So it's a lot less system intensive. But the fact that it is still a mobile version of the same game you play on the console and the PC,
You can play it on the go and have fun with it and do those side little missions that you have or something if you had it.
So it is possible to make one of these console games on the phone. As Genshin Impact shows, it's just it might need to be tweaked a little bit, scaled down in graphical quality and stuff like that. But I mean, if you're playing on your phone, you're doing it for convenience, not for graphical power, so it's a give and take. It's a give and take.
You'll see where it goes with it.
Indeed. As with most things where DE, they will announce it and then we will wait 2 years before it actually comes in. But hey, they're a small studio and they do big things, so I'm willing to wait. I'm willing to wait for that.
Hopefully it goes well for them.
I'm excited for the new war, the whole new story quest involving all of that. I want to see about what goes with Natan era. And for those who don't know anything about the Warframe, forgive me, I'm just rattling on about Warframe, how fun that is.
Warframe lore and whatnot,
Please don't get me started on the Warframe lore. We were talking before the stream started. The deeper you go down the rabbit hole, the more conflicting answers you get from the story itself. There was a point in the game's history, if I may just get off a little side tangent for a second. Get on my soapbox, my lore soapbox. I'll do this with Destiny too, but still, he'll tell you. There was a point in the story where they did not take their lore seriously, and they will even admit this. They just kind of had background details in some of the weapons, flavor text and stuff like that, just to kind of fill out the universe. The problem is, now that they're taking their story serious nowadays, they have to kind of go back.
Stuff is,
Yeah, they kind of have to go back into the previous stuff they have and either make that make sense in the world, which you can do sometimes, or you have to do what Warhammer does and just outright retcon the things that don't make sense. Which never sits well with anybody. And because of that, you'll tend to get a lot of conflicting answers depending on how far back in the story you go. And nothing makes sense.
Welcome to games.
Is Parvos Granum in his void? Is he not in his void? Is he there? Is he not there? I'm getting sidetracked.
Well, besides all that, hopefully Warframe will be able to accomplish that goal and get itself on mobile and cross-platforming, and hopefully they'll also be able to set up cross-platforming for the mobile and all that. That way you can do what you need to do on the go.
Apparently that's the plan.
Yeah, everything will be interesting to see there.
Yep, apparently. Again, we will or at least I will be reporting on it when that happens. Because again, I'm an avid Warframe player alongside Destiny, but we'll see how that goes. Speaking of Destiny, that brings us to the third thing on our agenda, our third big topic of the discussions, and that is a potential... Bungie, 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 what have you done now? Or what are you planning to do now, I should say? And that is a potential Halo crossover with Destiny. Oh boy. Just
Hmm.
saying those words makes me so very, very curious. So, I'm assuming that we all know what Halo is. I know
Yes.
our dear Justin knows what Halo is. He won't
Yes.
stop talking about it. He
Especially
won't
if
stop.
you've played the original and all that, so you know.
Oh, the discussions we've had behind the mic, ladies and gentlemen. The discussions we've had. I just kind of have to sit there and nod along as he explains the entire history of the 2,000-year covenant.
I mean, it's no different than you talking about, you know, Destiny and Warframe.
I know I'm in no position to complain. That's why I don't complain. That's why I am anyone but to complain. But
Our information today, though.
our information today, though, revolves around a potential joining of those two because there's been a lot of rumors going around lately between data mining and a lot of stuff that suggests Bungie is planning a potential massive crossover, or at least some crossover with Halo, and bringing some Halo weapons or something from Halo. We are told it's weapons, maybe the Magnum, we're told, the Holy Magnum from Halo 1 that can kill anything with one shot,
Yep.
into Destiny, and as an official playable weapon, which would be really cool, actually. We're not too sure if that's where the story begins and ends. Apparently, this is something to do between seasons 15 and 16, so we'll see. Which is next season. At least I think it's next season. I think it's next season. But anyways, something is apparently in the works. And I've seen a lot of stuff bounce around the internet. Some people say that there's potential, maybe we're going to get Spartan armor in this. Maybe we'll get Spartan armor in the game. Maybe we'll get some weapons from, both sides of the war. Maybe some human weapons, maybe some Covenant weapons.
We'll see what they do with it.
I'd be partial to a plasma sword, but that's just me.
A plasma sword?
Yeah, plasma sword. I remember killing buddies of mine with that in multiplayer back in the day with the plasma sword.
Someone should be slapped in the face.
What? You don't like the plasma
Energy sword?
And oh, sorry.
I mean, there is a very big fundamental difference between energy and plasma, so you know.
True. Ladies and gentlemen, we both have our lore, we both have our lore specifications. He's the Halo guy. I'm the Destiny Warframe guy, among other things. So. If we don't stop, we're probably gonna get on a side
I mean, at that point, it's along the sides of.
But what is an energy? What energy, though? What type of energy? There's the whole
question. I don't know.
That is the question. We don't know. It's been bounced around.
But it is certainly not plasma.
I don't
know. Plasma would be more along the lines of a lightsaber.
Well, if you see a Sungheili, you can ask him. I'll just be hiding behind a box when that conversation goes south real fast.
Well, I mean, they're an honorable race. I'm pretty sure that they'd be maybe flattered a bit that one would want to understand their culture.
Uh-huh. Maybe. I'll still be hiding behind the boxes, but Or bring a nuke or two, or a machine gun or something.
Everything.
Something to protect myself. Anyways. It would be fun to get an energy sword or a rocket launcher or, again, the Holy Magnum in the game.
I have a feeling it might be the Magnum.
It might be the Magnum. But it would be kind of weird to leave it at just that. I've even seen ideas bounced around the internet that Spartan armor, like I said, or potentially the Arbiter's armor would be making its way into the game. Maybe both.
Perhaps.
Maybe even ODST armor. That'd be interesting to kind of add one armor class for each of the classes in Halo. As a warlock myself, I would love to walk around in the Arbiter's shiny silver armor. Not for any particular reason, just because it looks cool.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, not preening at all right now. But we will see where that goes. I'm like all things, we will see what happens as time kind of shakes out. It was supposed to be something revolving around their 30th anniversary, which they've already celebrated in-game officially.
Yeah, that's already passed.
But who knows, they might continue to do it later on. because up until the end of the year, they could still claim its 30th anniversary.
Yeah, I mean the other side of about it too is the fact that they do have to go and work with Microsoft to do such a thing, and that road was slightly, probably completely burnt or nearly burnt. So
Yeah,
we'll
that was
see.
that was burnt a long time ago, but I've heard whispers that they mostly made up with Microsoft nowadays. And again, it really helps that Phil Spencer, the current head of Xbox now, is he seems like a pretty workable guy. You know, he's willing to work with people. So
Yeah,
it's not the old dogmatic Xbox of old, which is kind of the new PlayStation, which is, you know, you don't work if you're not with us, you're against this kind of thing. He's willing to strike a middle ground. It seems so. I'm
we'll
willing to
see
bet
where
that
it goes.
Microsoft will do. I've heard through the grapevine that Master Chief made his way into Fortnite, so who knows at this point.
Yeah, yeah. Don't remind
But
me.
I'm sure our poor Justin is getting war flashbacks at the moment,
God.
or something akin
You
to that.
spend years hating a game and then suddenly you see an icon you love in it.
I know it
God.
really does demean the whole concept, doesn't it? I sympathize, brother. I sympathize, but it it is the thing. I would be much happier to see Halo make its way into Destiny than Fortnite, honestly. I would be able to take it far more seriously. But like I said, we will have to, as I always say, wait and see where this goes. I will be waiting with great anticipation, though. Please give me my energy sword. I want to use that. Drop it from the sky. I don't know. I will even tolerate if they do not attempt to explain that away in the lore, though I feel like Bungie might try to anyway. There was already rumors back in Destiny 1, for those who aren't aware, of a potential Halo reference. Even back all the way in Destiny 1, though, it
Well,
was just
no,
a reference that was
there
like an
is a Halo
off-scannable you
reference
found.
in Destiny 1.
In Destiny 1
Yeah.
already, so they've clearly toyed with the idea in their development team. So it wouldn't be that out of the way. It wouldn't be that, you know, out of the ballpark possibilities.
Yeah. I mean, that was more of a slight subtle reference and one that really doesn't 100% tie to Halo unless you like know what's going on. So, yeah.
And even then, there's plausible deniability there. But like I said, and for those who aren't aware, obviously, we haven't brought it up yet, but if you haven't put the two to two together, probably should have started out with this. Bungie, before they were working on Destiny, were the creators of Halos 1 to 3.
If
Yes,
you've been
yes,
living
we
under a
know.
rock and never knew
Well,
about that crazy show that
well,
happened,
in fairness,
there are
we
some
do know
nowadays
that
that don't.
there are some nowadays that don't because 343 has kind of taken the spotlight away for quite a while now.
Well, that
They
and
stopped producing
there are
Halo.
legitimately some people who thought Master Chief came from Fortnite. So, you know.
Really?
Yes.
Really? We're going to have a discussion of this after the recording.
It's not an often thing that happens, but it's mostly around the children demographic. But you know,
Oh,
impressionable as they are.
oh, by the void. Anyway, so, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, we will have to wait and see. Again, I'll be much more respecting. Again, like I said, 343 started making Halo after Halo 3 and then onward. They've been making it ever since, and everything that's come out of Halo has come from their umbrella. But before that, Halos 1 to 3 and the whole concept of Halo itself was created originally by Bungie back in the day.
Mm.
Fun little history fact for those who don't know why the whole split up happened. The whole reason apparently is that, well, actually we don't know.
No, I would have to say
I was gonna have a whole big build up there, and then I'm like, oh wait,
well,
we don't.
I'd have to say it was probably because of the fact that Bungie wanted to go and keep the IP, and they weren't allowed to keep the IP. So
I know that was part of the whole like kind of argument with them in the Fallout, because for those who aren't aware, ladies and gentlemen, the original deal Bungie had with Microsoft is that any IP, and for those who aren't like game savvy about the kind of sayings of the industry, IP is intellectual property, which is basically marketing slang for any type of franchise or basically a franchise or any kind of element that is created in the entertainment industry. and has an entire kind of base around it. So, for example, Star Wars is its own IP, essentially.
Hmm.
And it's basically the franchise as a whole. And whoever owns the IP basically owns the rights to the franchise. That's a gamey way of saying who owns the rights to the franchise. When Bungie made Halo, their deal with Microsoft is that they wouldn't actually own the IP, or at least that was the original deal, I think. They might have tried to renegotiate.
Yeah, it was probably a renegotiation over time.
That they wouldn't keep the rights to anything they made. So the idea of this is that if a studio secedes or leaves the actual publisher they're with, they can take their toy and go with them. They don't have to worry about having the publisher keep what they made, and they can still work on that kind of project, though they wouldn't have the funding of the publisher.
Yeah.
Well, Microsoft unfortunately had the rights to the IP of Halo at the time, and so when Bungie left, they could not take Halo with them. And so for those who are wondering why Bungie never kept Halo, it's not because they didn't want to keep it. They truly did. It's just that legally Microsoft owned the rights. They were not allowed to, yes. And that is why apparently, as the story goes, they ended up shopping around for new publishers when they were developing Bungie and stuff, when they were developing Destiny and stuff like that. And one specific thing was in their contract that they wanted, which was a make or break deal. Outside of everything else, there was one thing they were not willing to negotiate on, is that if we work for you, we keep the rights to the IP. So basically, if they leave again, this time they can take their toy with them.
Hmm.
Which, for those who aren't aware, they went Activision, not because they wanted it. In fact, according to one of their one of the big heads in the studio, one of the big sound guys in the studio, they knew that going with Activision was a bad idea. It's just they were the only ones willing to strike the deal of, okay, you can have the IP rights, essentially.
You can have your game.
You can have your game, yeah. And long story short, they were right. Activision turned out to be evil. Who knew, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it seems they took a few habits alongside with them.
Yeah, well, business is business.
They do what they can.
They do what they can. But anyways, so when they left the game studio, there was this whole big... When they split with Activision, again, the story wasn't known at the time of Activision and them splitting up, of if they would keep the IP, because again, this was all in the fallout of one of the sound guys leaving the studio later on after the split and telling us everything. But everyone along the internet was like, oh, well, is Activision going to keep the rights? What are they going to do? A lot of business analysts were saying that Activision wouldn't keep the rights even if they could, because, fun fact, the whole kind of reason this breakup occurred was, to put it very lightly, Activision was shit-talking Bungie and Destiny specifically by saying it underperformed. Which anyone who knows how Activision works knows that that isn't really saying much, because anything that's not making all the money is underperforming.
Yep.
If it's not exploiting you, it's not working right. Damn, the game industry is corrupt as hell.
Yeah, well.
But anyways, Bungie
like
immediately...
money is money.
Money is money, right? Bungie, immediately seeing that Activision basically slammed their game, immediately clapped back by saying that to them, Destiny is doing completely fine. It is doing perfectly. And I'm essentially guessing that this basically in the back rooms boiled over eventually to a point where both Bungie and Activision said, you know what, we're going our separate ways. And again, everyone was wondering if Destiny would keep the IP. If Bungie would end up keeping the IP, they ended up doing just that, and that's why they're still producing stuff for Destiny, and they're still making Destiny to this day. Whereas what would happen if Activision got a hold of it, which would basically... They would either do one of two things. They'd either run it into a microtransaction-ridden mess, which would both by proxy run it into the ground, or they would just simply shut it down because, like I said, it was underperforming.
As they said.
As they said, right?
But, compared to what it is now, I don't think it's really underperforming much.
No. If there's talk in the entertainment industry of making a, TV series out of it, I wouldn't call that underperforming.
Yep.
Which is a very Bungie thing to do, because they used to do that with Halo too. They would do like live action trailers and stuff like that, and like movie tie-ins with stuff like Halo. If anything, Bungie showed us with Halo that they're not afraid to dip their feet into other genres of entertainment to start promoting their franchises, even going into other genres altogether. Again, Halo got multiple movies made of it. I think a TV
Some,
series.
not a TV series, but more like small movies and stuff, little
Yeah.
films.
And like I said, they were even playing with live action trailers back then, so
Yeah.
it's clear that they're not afraid of working with other mediums to promote their stuff, which is good for them. You don't see that much kind of boldness in the industry anymore.
Yeah.
But so yeah, there we go. That's a kind of reasoning behind why Bungie still has any control over Destiny, because according to the contract, they always did to begin with. It's just that they were letting Activision have their way with the game to some extent, and that ended up backfiring on them, as they themselves admit they kind of foresaw. But
Yes.
we are getting. This went from us discussing the connections between Destiny and Halo to us
The
discussing
unhappiness we
Bungie.
have towards the game we play.
Eh,
But I mean, we'll
I
see
wouldn't
where.
classify it. I wouldn't classify Destiny as a guilty pleasure. I'm proud to say I'm a proud Destiny fan, but you know, can't agree with everything that comes out of the mouth of people, right?
I mean, hopefully the game will keep doing well. I mean, it's had a lot of leaks as of recently, so hopefully it doesn't go too awry. But
Yeah, well,
we'll
on
see where things go there.
yeah. On that note, it isn't actually surprising because there's actually been rumors in the past that Bungie has actually leaked things on purpose and even has screwed with the player base in a way that the data miners, right? There's a character in the game who's renowned for being very cunning, right? And and Bungie, to break the fourth wall and to kind of get back at all the data miners, buried and buried something in the data code, which was basically this character berating the data miners for data mining stuff, which both break
Ah,
the fourth wall and got back at the
that that
data
that
miners. So
that somewhat reminds me of with Undertale, one of the leaks. Basically, people were finding information and stuff in the files, and there was one file said don't share secrets online, and well, that was shared online, and then it got removed and replaced with just laughter. So yeah,
it,
yeah. When the developers go and mess with the data miners, it is
it is
an
always funny to
interesting
watch.
karma to see.
It's always interesting to watch. Always funny to watch from the sidelines. But it is what it is, right? We've got just enough time to bring up one of the side theories we had bouncing around the whole midweek report office before we started the theory. Justin, I'm going to let you talk about this one for a second, provided you're not in the middle of a. He's in the middle of
Too
Destiny
hectic
right now.
of
So,
firefight. Um,
yeah.
well, as of right now, pretty much when it comes to our lovely Bungie and its child Halo. Apparently, for Halo Infinite, some people in the community are actually somewhat skeptical and worried when it comes to one of the aspects that came out during Reach, which was assassinations. Because during the gameplay trailer for the online game, nobody saw any kind of hint to such a thing. And I've seen a few people somewhat worried in a way that nothing will come of it, and something that people enjoyed might be disappearing. So we'll see where that goes. Even
Really?
though, hmm?
So what? They're planning to take out like assassinations in Infinite?
Nobody knows for certain, because every gameplay trailer when it came to online that had assassinations in the game. So in Halo Reach, Halo 4, and Halo 5, there were assassinations within the gameplay trailer. So there were no gameplay aspects that showed that there would be assassinations in Infinite. So people are a little bit worried when it comes to that, because that kind of goes along the note of many people are worried that many things that they enjoy when it comes to Halo might not be coming in. So
I mean,
we'll see.
to play devil's advocate in this conversation, It does seem like a very small thing. I can see
It
where
is.
it could
It is a
snowball.
small thing. I'm not gonna say it's not a small thing. It is definitely small, but it does go along the note of many people have had where a lot of aspects of the game might not be in it. Like for Halo 5, for example, and Halo 4, when they launched without a lot of game modes that people enjoyed, like Infection and whatnot, you can see why some people are a little bit worried when it comes to some things, because it just adds to the pile of worry that is this game going to have a lot of the things that I enjoy.
Which does kind of add to the fire, ladies and gentlemen, of a lot of people saying that Halo died when 343 got its hands on it. But semantics.
To me, Halo didn't die. It's just it's changed from one style to another, and the original trilogy will always be the story trilogy to me. But the new series is definitely along the lines of an enjoyable game that people will enjoy.
Yeah, it is an enjoyable game nonetheless. As
Yeah.
another guy who has played the newer ones himself,
Hmm.
I'm planning to get Infinite myself if I can ever get my hands on a Xbox Series X, because
Well, I mean, Infinite's
Void
going to be
knows
on
I'm
the
not playing.
PC, but I mean, for you and a laptop, it might not go so well.
Yeah, no. I'm planning to play it on the new gen consoles, but Void knows, Traveler knows, and Darkness probably knows I'll never probably get my hands on a Series X by the time that happens. But then again, they're pushing it back so much, who the heck knows?
We'll see how far back they'll push it, and if when it does come out, it doesn't get completely bombasted by bots and immediate buys.
Oh, it's already beyond that point, my boy.
Oh yes, but how bad will it be is the question.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Pretty bad. Which
I mean,
actually,
we're down to a minute with Steam, so we'll see how it goes.
I mean, in fairness, side tangent. I was actually looking up the kind of sales or like the sale, like what they're selling it for all over the place, right? For the Xbox Series X, because I sometimes look at if they've restocked them, where can you get them? Not that I'm gonna probably get one at this moment, as I'm still saving up for it. But I see that like Walmart sells them, and a bunch of other places, and I'm going, okay, what do they sell them for? They sell them for 700 like 60 or something like that. Less, ladies and gentlemen, they only did that price drop of 500 something for the States because people value the US market.
Yes.
If anyone asks me, yes, I am a little bit bitter that I no longer live in the States, ladies and gentlemen. If I no longer live in the US because prices are so much better there. But that's a side topic I won't get into because I'm going to go on my soapbox again. Anyways,
Yes. Well,
I looked at what everyone's selling them for, at least, the main retailers, Best Buy, EB Games, yada, yada, yada. They're all selling it for 760, standard retail rate, considering conversion and everything, right? Then I looked at Walmart. Oh, Walmart, buy the void. What have you done?
Walmart. The place where they're supposed to have,
Where they
low
have
prices and sales.
And it's all a lie.
It's all a facade.
Why? Because I looked at it, and I kid you not, I literally did a triple take. I refreshed the screen and went to the main Walmart website myself 3 times just to make sure I'm getting the numbers right. And unlike 760, which again, for the conversion rates makes sense, guess what they're selling for? Just humor me. Just guess for a second.
500?
No. Higher.
1,000?
Bingo. It is like 9,099 or something.
Yes.
I'm like, wait a minute, what in the
allow me to go and
traveler's
buy
name?
it on this location rather than your location, because
It's like,
clearly
yeah.
someone's going to be selling it at a fair and average price.
Yeah, it's like it's sold out across the board, and yet Walmart has like the Series X with the disc version still, or yeah, Series X, that's what I call them anyway. I'm going, well, that's weird. Why does everyone else have them sold them out and this one doesn't? Why not even the bots have picked them up? Why? Because for whatever reason, Walmart has decided to go into the scalping business themselves, and instead of selling them for a reasonable price, even given conversions of 765 or whatever, which again makes sense with the conversions, I guess, even though I personally think it's a ripoff. They're selling it for $100K a pop. Buy the Lotus. You can keep it.
Yep, that doesn't seem like something you'd be wanting to invest
There,
money into.
there was even jokes when these systems first came out that it's like, how will they keep them below, like, within an affordable price range with like below 800 and stuff like that? And people were even bouncing around numbers like, ha, wouldn't it be funny if they were selling this one for like 1,000 because of how technologically advanced it is? Yeah, apparently Walmart decided to take that in stride.
Yeah.
Can you tell I'm annoyed with how I'm speaking? Anyways,
Well, we'll be seeing where some of the market goes with some of the games and some consoles.
yeah, we'll be seeing that. We'll be seeing. Apparently, like I said, the Steam Deck has already made itself onto eBay for obscene amounts of money. And ladies and gentlemen, please don't feed the scalpers. Please don't give
Yeah,
these
don't.
leeches any more than they
Yeah,
need.
if you're looking to buy on things like eBay and stuff, always
Look for a
put
deal at
it
least.
along. No, always put it along this line of thinking. You're buying it on a site where someone's already gotten it. So you should be thinking of it as used, no matter what. Even if it's unboxed, you should be thinking of it as used because
And
someone
that is
else already bought it.
bingo. And that is propensity for a price drop, not a price hike. But, semantics.
Yes, but people need their money.
That's true. And as a businessman myself, I won't deny that. But like I said, ladies and gentlemen, if you're gonna shop on eBay, look for things around the price range of the thing itself, or if you're lucky, slightly under it. And if it's slightly over it, keep it within reason. If
Yeah.
it's like 3 times the market value, don't buy it, please. Don't
Mm,
feed them.
just wait for it to come out again and hope that you can get it at a lower price because it's not worth it. You might as well just
Mm.
leave that scalper with his like 80 fucking consoles and stuff. Because
Honestly, there was a
people do
photo
that.
that broke. There was a photo that broke on Instagram, and I wish we had like a screen, like ability to show things. Fun fact: peer behind the curtain, we don't actually have a lot of technical stuff set up at the back to. That is why my dear Justin here is sitting on Destiny, providing you with entertainment in some manner, because we don't actually have the capabilities to have any form of images come up on the screen yet. We're still looking into that. Anyways, there was actually a photo that broke out Instagram a while back of a scalper who, for whatever void forsaken reason, decided to boast on Instagram about how many copies of the console he managed to scalp from the internet and sell at an incredibly high price, and even began to try to market himself online with like an entire living room. I'm not even jesting, an entire living room full of PS5s. And he's
Yep.
like, "Oh, you can buy these if you
I'm
pay me
so
like
good. Look at me
$3,000."
go.
Yeah,
I'm
he got.
console man.
Yeah, you ever wanted to see the internet getting really enraged really quickly?
Yeah, I'm willing
Yeah.
to bet the guy got a lot of bad stuff like doxing and stuff. So yeah,
And I
that's the
usually
thing.
don't
Don't
sanction
anger the
stuff like that.
internet.
I usually don't sanction shit like that, but as a gamer myself, as a longtime gamer
Well, I
myself,
mean,
and
here's the thing.
I
You
can
did
kind of look the other way.
boast about how much money you spent in
You're
order to get all of this stuff that people have been waiting for years, just to go and say, "Yeah, no, I'm gonna sell it, but at a much higher price." It's like,
Yeah, and he was
yeah,
like,
no, you're asking for the wrath of the dark side of the internet. You're
I
asking
didn't know
for
if
it.
it was a question of pride or just pure Lotus Forsaken stupidity, but I think it's a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B. Um, like I said, I usually don't sanction the methods that were used to punish him, but in this case,
You know, you
eh,
kind of asked for
you
karma to
kind
come
of
for you
asked for
early.
it. Yeah, he kind of asked for it, so it is what it is. Well, and there we
Well,
have it.
hopefully you enjoyed it. You got some information, some lovely takes, and a little bit of entertainment from it all. And
Yep.
once again, for my end, I am apologizing for disappearing last week. But when your family goes and asks you to be active, especially when things finally open up, you kind of oblige a little bit.
Well, Unless you're me.
Unless you know you're an antisocial gamer. The
Well, I'm not
master.
antisocial. I just have discussions. We come to understandings.
I have my
And yeah.
theories, and I theorize on the world around me.
Honestly, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, Justin here is our editor over at the Midweek Report, so him leaving and him having all the recording equipment,
Yep.
he left and took all the recording equipment with him, which kind of left us in a bind.
Like,
I feel like that was me
if-
just throwing him under the bus by accident.
though,
Oops.
though, if you are wondering, and if you heard at the very beginning, we did have a video set up. It was actually not too bad video and everything. But,
Yeah.
you know, when YouTube doesn't allow you to actually upload something, or when you are uploading something and then it doesn't upload because I guess something failed,
Yeah.
you just gotta enjoy life for what it is. A pain.
Well, I'll be real with you for a second here. Like, I was literally mowing the lawn one day, right? A few days after all this shook out, and I get a thing on my phone. It's Justin over on his camping trip, right? He somehow managed to scrape up enough Wi-Fi to send me a message like, "Do you see it? Do you see it? Do you see it?" It was like multiple days after on the weekend already when we were. Fun fact: I'll level with you all, ladies and gentlemen. We actually planned to do a actual video to make up for this on the weekend.
Yes.
And that was what the video itself entailed.
Originally, I was hoping to be able to get home on the weekend to make up for it, but you know.
But we never got around to that.
When you have family members who decided to take Monday off, that's
right,
when
man.
you realize it's already too late.
You know. We forgive you, man. Things happen. But at least I forgive you.
Nobody else forgives. They
No
will
one
not
else
forget.
The entire audience right now is just like,
this is the day of reckoning.
this is the day of reckoning. All our subscribers gone. But yeah, I even got the text like, "Do you see it? Do you see it?" And I'm like, "See what?" I didn't go
Please
up. Please
pick up. Notice me. I know.
Notice me, please.
I know my voice can't be heard very well, but please tell me you can hear.
Like this broken audio signal. He sends me like a corrupted data file, like an SOS from like somewhere out in the boonies.
Someone took the file and just chopped it up.
But anyways, it didn't happen, so we decided to do this. I think actually, you know what? Let's just Yeah, well, we'll probably stick to Wednesdays, and we'll probably hopefully stick to.
Yeah, Wednesdays have always been a good day, and I mean it is the midweek, so it fits with our theme and everything. So you know.
So maybe we might do a Saturday episode in the future. Maybe not. I think it might be an exclusive or something like that if we ever do. If we ever branch out.
Things like that would definitely be an exclusive. And hey, we may have disappeared for a little bit.
We may have disappeared for a little bit. Again, we're sorry. It's on us. But our dear editor-in-chief over here left. And well, not editor-in-chief. Just the editor. Just the editor.
Well, I mean, I guess if you want to give me that title, I mean, when you're the only editor, you can't really be editor-in-chief, chief editor, and all that. But you know, I guess in a way, like you would be the chief executive producer and everything.
I'm the producer.
It's weird. I mean, there's only one of us for both positions, so
yeah. I'm kind of like we kind of share the R&D department role. I'm the chief. I'm like the head. I'm like the head. I'm like the head of production, and he's like the chief editor. I don't know. It is just kind of shake up as it is, but yeah. So again, apologize on our behalf, ladies and gentlemen. We'll try not to make it happen again.
No 100% promises, but at least 80 to 90% promise.
80 to 90%. You have a good assertion. I would bet on those
always factor in the human nature part.
So, yeah, there we go. That brings us to an end of...
Like I said, hopefully you enjoyed, and hopefully you got some information out that you wanted to know.
We'll, hopefully... Yeah, we will see you again. Well, we'll see you again next weekend. Or next week. Not next weekend. Next week on Wednesday, stay tuned to the Midweek Report, ladies and gentlemen. We'll call the show at that. And in the words of the immortal Red Green, I'm pulling for you. We're all in this together. Good night.